Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, Friday, October 13th. Spooky, right? 2023. All right, people, let's talk. Let's start off with this. So yesterday, the action in this market was definitely interesting, troubling to see the fear trade going on, the market sensing, at least in my view, that something is about to happen, something is very wrong. It's kind of an interesting set of dynamics in play right now. I mean, look, I don't mean to downplay anything here. We're at war. This world is at war. This is getting to be a lot worse, and it's going to get a lot worse. Let me ask you something. How many of you are surprised that to see the events unfold that are unfolding right now, understanding that the world today is, at least in my view, at this maximum saturation moment? In other words, the world is so overwhelmingly hyper-fueled with debt right now that we're seeing a breakdown of pretty much everything across the board. I don't think any of you are surprised at all with regard to that. Now, for those of you that may not be aware of this maximum saturation moment here, again, there becomes a moment in time, and I think we're here now, where the system itself begins to implode. And the first sign of this is widespread, or in this case, global inflation. Again, this is not just a phenomenon here in the United States. This is widespread. That's number one. Number two, this instability that we're seeing in the debt market, I mean, it's really in our face. And yesterday, again, looking at the action here with regard to the debt market, look, we understand. Let me put this into a different perspective. We understand that what's going on now, these wars, these expanding wars, more funding for these wars. We can fund any war that they want to throw at us, but we can't fund the government. How does that work? Does someone want to tell me that here in the United States? It's astonishing to me, really. This is what we pay taxes for, honestly. This is what our representatives are trying to do. It's unbelievable. But again, you can't make it up if you try to. But that's the current situation. But understanding that we are at this moment here where, I mean, and there's a strange paradox involved. Although the world today is awash in debt, more so than we've ever seen in the history of the world, the cost of living around the world higher than it's ever been in history as well, an economy in free fall. Okay, the debt saturation has clearly become a massive problem, but there's not enough of it. I mean, that's the paradox. It's the curse, if you want to call it, of the debt-based economic model. And you all know this if you've been following my blog. I don't think anyone knows this better than you do. And every manner of anything they can throw at us, they can do to pull cash into the now, to keep the system fueled with more debt, is going to be obviously implemented. And war, the propagation of war, the funding of war, the spending of war generates more cash for the military-industrial complex, the Federal Reserve, central banks, than any other endeavor on the planet Earth, bar none. And this is why you're seeing what we're seeing right now, again, with this incredible hyper debt overload, which is hurting all of us. And you and I, we're paying for it. We're paying for all of it, and we're going to pay for it. And people right now are paying for it with their very lives. And I can promise you this is going to spread. Now, going back to this market yesterday, again, it was very perplexing to me to see what was going on. I mean, we're hearing, look, I didn't even want to mention this yesterday. I really didn't. But I'm going to mention it now. This call for global jihad, whatever the freak that is, and these freaks. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, that might have played a role into what we have seen yesterday. Absolutely. And right now, the market seems to be a little bit relaxed, more so than yesterday. You got stock futures that are mixed. Dow futures are fractionally higher. S&P futures are lower. NASDAQ futures are lower. Crude oil higher by over 4%. How many of you are surprised about this? How about nobody? Again, look, I believe, and I've been saying this as of late, this crazy run-up in oil, the pullback we've had as of late, this is going to trade in a range, but they're not going to allow it to fall. Crude oil is the lifeblood of the system, the lifeblood of the military-industrial complex. You can rest assured that crude oil, they're going to force it on us. Okay, this is also not by accident, all by design. This is they have a stranglehold on the people of the world, and they're going to keep the pressure going. They're going to keep the pressure going, but they're going to also, central banks are going to find a way, and they're going to, again, crisis to crisis to crisis, to fund it all. Again, where does this cash come from to fund wars, to keep bond yields down? Where does it? It comes from the central banks collectively now, who are the one world government, and they run it all. They run the wars, they run the economy, they run the financial system, they run the financial markets, they control the flow of information. It's the central banks. You want to point, and there's a lot of people pointing their fingers at it, at all kinds of things that what they're being programmed or brainwashed to think is the problem. Okay, it's this group of people, it's that group of people. No, it's the central banks. Once people get hip to that, maybe we'll get a revolution against these institutions. But again, they have worked very diligently to make themselves bulletproof, honestly, blame-proof, and everything else. Do you hear any blame right now coming from the central banks here? People running for president of the United States, pointing their fingers at who's to blame. You think they're going to bring up it's the central banks who fund this whole damn thing? Of course not. No, and absolutely not. Do you think that's by accident as well? No, it's not, people. And it's also a method to keep people divided and hating each other's guts. Understand, divide and conquer. It's so in our face. And you should laugh when you hear a presidential candidate come out on international television telling you how stupid some people are, how smart other people are, and whatever it might be. It's unbelievable what we're seeing here, but it's the central banks, and nobody is going to point their finger at them except you and me. They run the show. Anyway, this morning, just going back to this market here, as I said, stock futures aren't doing too much, mostly in the red, S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. The 10-year yield is showing a little bit of a relief from yesterday. Still, risk in this market, the MMRI, last time I checked it, Mannarino market risk indicator, again, free to everyone on this planet, link below, is sitting at about 305. We dipped below 300. Yesterday we were around 310 or so, 311, coming down a little bit. Is it going to last? I don't really think so. I think this is a Band-Aid, and this must expand. Again, central banks understand, and you and I do too as well, how the system works. They must find a way to push cash into the debt market. The way to do that, okay, the number one way to do that is to expand war, period. The system is illiquid. You know that. That's our biggest issue here. They know this too. They must pump liquidity into the system. Massively, and you can expect this new war on terror to do just that. And who's going to pay for that? Again, what you're not hearing, and the silence is deafening. It's deafening. You're not hearing how all this cash to fight this war, that war, expanding wars, new war on terror, and everything else is massively inflationary. You can't just create this cash out of nothing, because again, there's no war chest here. You understand? And expect there not to be fallout. You and I are paying for it all. All. Imagine my shock. Imagine your shock. I mean, it's just so incredible. Crude oil surging this morning. Higher, over by 4%. Gold and silver catching a bid. Crypto's mixed this morning as well. The relative strength of the dollar flat. We need to keep our eye on risk. And I'm going to tell you again right here and right now. All right. I put a lot of thought into the MMRI, the Mannarino Market Risk Indicator, and how it works. And we could actually use this right now to gauge when we are going to see an event occur. If risk in this market continues to rise, okay, when we know to be prepared or prepare more so than before. Just be ready. Just be ready, because they're not done. They're not done. I really believe they're gonna assign blame. Again, it can't be the central banks. It can't be Israel. It can't be the Palestinian people, the Gaza people, whatever, aliens from another world, or the man in the moon. Can't be any of that. They have to push the blame off. It can't be the Federal Reserve. It can't be central banks. It can't be what they have done. So they're going to find a scapegoat. Look for a scapegoat. And that scares me more than anything else. Look for another false flag. You think another false flag is going to occur? Well, then you really have no idea what's going on. We knew this one was going to occur. Another one is going to occur as well. And you understand why. Liquidity, the system, the mechanism behind this. What's going on here? We know who our enemy is. We know what they want. That gives us enormous power, people. Enormous power. Anyway, that's where we stand this morning. Pretty much, look, we're on target, you and I. We know exactly what to look for. We're keeping on top of all this. I think we've called this entire thing better than anybody, okay? But I'm telling you again, raise your awareness, people. Understand what they're doing. Understand what they're doing. Not only, look, the main issue here, what do they want to do? They want to create slaves to the system. We all know that, okay? They also want to eliminate a large portion of the population. That's a fact, and they're doing it now. It's about control. All about control, and it's pretty interesting to watch these things unfold that we've called for so freaking long. All right, people, look, this guy here loves you a lot from the heart. I mean that. I hope I covered everything that you want to hear this morning. You know what to do. At least I hope so. But remember also as well, people, look, this blog, and always say this is a global family. What do I tell you every Friday? Love each other, care about each other, be charitable. All right, I leave you off every Friday with that, and you're going to hear that again later today. But I think we need that more than ever. Okay, it's the truth. We are not each other's enemies in any way, shape, or form, no matter what religion you are, no matter what groups you may belong to, well, for the most part, no matter what your skin color may be, or your political affiliation. We are not each other's enemies, okay? They want you to think that. As soon as you can break out of that, you will free yourself. You will free yourself. If you listen to what they tell you, and they're programming you, it's a mind screw, it's a psyop on an unprecedented scale. It should be easy to see once you open your mind what's going on here. Okay, we are all under attack. You got to block it. You got to block it. All right. Anyway, I'll see you later, 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Have your questions ready for me. We're going to stay ahead of the curve on this. I can promise you that. All right. Love you a lot.